they gave me was 25 years. We counted with 15, which I thought was high to counter with because some guys were getting 10. I was never going to get 10. I wound up doing 10 anyway.
Yeah.
So we were, I think they came down to 22 and we didn't budge. We were hoping to get 18 because maybe you get out in like 16, whatever. And those numbers are like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But listen, I have bad crimes. I mean, I was bad in their eyes. In our circle, it wasn't. It was kill or be killed. You know, I could have been a soldier in the army shooting somebody.
That's
but
how I felt too.
In their rules, you know, the powers, the government, whatever, what we were doing was the worst crime you could do. So 16 years we were negotiating. But then, like I said, at the end, what they did to my buddy Jimmy while he's on the lam, try to keep our business together. Comes out, my boss is bad. He's in bed with the feds for 30 years. Consuliere, but like I said, was the first one to go, who started this whole problem, our whole war, and Vicarina. So now you just say it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth even 16 or 18 or 20 years. It's not worth it. No. You know, and plus there's a good chance we would have been the sacrificial lambs if they tried to put the family back together because there was still bodies after they patched it up. Because who was going to trust us? We did a lot of damage during the war. You know, who was going to trust us? You know? See, he said we'd be the sacrificial lambs.
Exactly, and he was 100% right.
And he told me who the sacrificial lambs would be on the other side.
Yep.
And one wound up getting killed way later on. Wild Billy Catone. Yep. You know, he was one's retired and out of town, and Vicarina could never get a pass. But he's in bad shape in prison.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, we got to thank God though that we moved on. We're doing different things. You know, but no matter how hard we try, you know, I love being a gangster. I can't lie to you.
No, that's what I said. You don't want to be a hypocrite.
No, and you know, I'm a theologian. I wrote a Christian book. I was a pastor for a short time when I got out of prison. You know, I love God and everything, but I'm not a Bible thumper. Right. I never believed in that. I live my life.
Yeah.
I smoke cigarettes. I date. I drink occasionally.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to live.
Of course.
You know, I lived by a code before.
Right.
And I love God, but listen, I'm only a man.
You still like the horses?
Huh?
You like betting the horses. You like a little football on Sunday. I mean, I still like all that stuff. It was all it's so embedded in me. It's like the stock market to a stockbroker.
Exactly.
Or a surgeon that can't retire. You just got to keep doing it. So as a matter of fact, I may be hosting a show on gambling this upcoming football season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my producer's putting it together. So I'm got my fingers crossed that the pandemic and different things allow, because it's put us a year back on everything. But I got a lot of good things. Like I said, we'll talk about that later when you're ready.
Yeah.
About the TV stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I'm waiting for something right now. I'm in a book, Ghost. In Sylvester Stallone, I guess it's what is it, Balboa Studios or whatever?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, they bought the rights to the book,
right?
You know, so if this pandemic didn't happen, that would already been out already.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm one of the major characters in that. And I've been waiting for that. Holding my breath for that.
Yeah,
and there's a few other things that we're talking about doing. But with this pandemic right now, it's really tough to do anything.
It is, especially Hollywood, because not to get into politics, they're very, very democratic.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the masks and the rules and regulations, nobody could do anything.
No.
You can't meet. You can't use actors from New York in California. You can't use actors in New York from California. So it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you know, the producer I got, the one good thing, he's looking to launch his own, which he's very close to doing. That's why I'm able to talk about it now. His own stream, like a Netflix.
Yeah.
He's going to open his own, and you know, he's working on. He's got the Texan. He's got licensing. He's very close. So within the next couple of months, you'll be seeing something come out, and I'll talk to you about it when I can. I just, you know, that's like a little hint, a little tidbit. But he's going to have his own stream. So we're not going to need to go to HBO or any of these places. And a lot of it is done like this now. Everything is online, and you know, it's not like the old days. The only guy that's still filming old fashioned, I think, is Scorsese, coming in with a cameras the same way, and I saw that firsthand in The Irishman. So it was fun.
Yeah, we got to talk about that because you were a consultant on that movie, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. Well, here's what happened. My case when it came to a head and all the arrests were being made, there was a New York joint task force with the FBI. That's normal, I guess. In Boston, they did that too.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of the cops, well, one of them I actually grew up with, Tommy Dades, their friend to this day. He's got with my producer also the Mob Cops story coming out. The Mob Cops that Terry Winter is doing. So he's got a lot on his plate. Anyway, when De Niro was getting ready to do The Irishman, he asked the cops that are now they retired and became his security team. Who do they know that would be helpful from the old life? Tell them how things happen, how, crazy stuff. How do you get rid of a weapon? How do you lure a guy in when he's in trouble? So they said Larry. And he read the book and he says he wants to meet me. So I went and I was supposed to have an hour. We sat there for over 3 hours. He just was listening to me talk, listening. He told me like 3 times the book was terrific. So within a week, he calls me back and says, would I like to meet Martin Scorsese? I said, oh, my God. What an honor that would be. It was an honor meeting you. That would be wonderful.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I go meet him, and he's got casting directors there. And what they were doing was listening to me, and they were having me read for different parts, which other guys wound up getting the parts, like main people. But they wanted to hear the language, the verb. They changed a lot of that script just on stuff that I did. And we added little idiosyncrasies, if that's the word, little things. And then finally, he sent me to meet Nick Pileggi. So I think he was looking to put a project together for my, but it just sort of like the pandemic. And like you said, we went in different directions. And I was lucky enough to have this producer who's certainly can finance it, he's way beyond that. And he's taken a bunch of projects on, and he's doing his own thing now. So a lot of doors opened. A lot of doors have been opening, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I know your book's doing well. The Life. I got a little thing on that. I'm going to show later or at the beginning, and that's exciting. I'm doing my book right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be out by the end of the summer. We'll see what happens.
I'll look for it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in process, but the same thing. When we'll be together on the show.
Yeah.
A lot of people anxious to read it because it's about the war in the 90s.
Yeah.
My life story.
Amazing.
East
Coast.
I'll tell you, it's something the way that you came up. We got to talk more about that. But there's another thing I got to ask you. Amante Sante. Tell me the story about him because he's one of my favorite actors.
Well, it's funny. I've been lucky to meet my 2 favorite actors. I'm going to tell you who they are. First one is Armand.
Yeah.
Always loved him.
Yeah.
Okay, I love all his work, including the John Gotti show. He really did
that was amazing.
Bang up job on that. Okay, so I'm in a restaurant, and I'm with a couple of different couples and my wife, and I hear a buzz behind me, people. So I turn around. He comes walking in with his agent, who I met later, Kenny, and they walk over to a table. They sit down, and now people are going over to him one after the other, and he's taking pictures and very gracious. Didn't say no to anybody. So after everybody, calmed down, I had to go to the men's room. So I was going right by him, and he's looking at me walk by. And I didn't say anything, but I gave him the thumbs up, and I just kept going. Yeah. We're not, you're probably the same way. You're not going to go bother a guy, asking for his autograph, nonsense. Anyway, so on the way out of the men's room, I'm coming back, and he's looking at me again. This time I get a little closer to the table. I says, Armand, you're the best. I said, you did a great John Gotti. And he looked at me. He says, you think so? I said, yeah, and I should know. So I started walking away. He says, wait, come back. So I went back. He asked me to sit down. When I told him who I was, he started pulling his hair out of his head, like looking at his agent, because he was working on a project with the FBI and how they intermingle with the bad guys or the wise guys. And that was like that and Whitey were right. Those 2 stories were right at the top. So he couldn't believe it that I was that guy. And then I was, the one that was with the wife and all of that. He was just. So I sat with him after we ate. They kept the place open for us. It was a place in Delray. You familiar with Delray Beach?
I've been there, but not
the top Italian place there. Anyway, he So now, after we closed up the place and we're walking out, we exchanged numbers. I had to send him my transcript, which he loved. He wrote the back page. He wrote an incredible testimonial for me. We stayed in touch. He's been honest with me from day one. He told me what to expect. He's been a coach for me. He says, but there's not much he can do to get in those doors more than I can. That's a different level. He says, once you get in, he says, I want to be in the movie. I'm an actor. You know, I come on afterwards. So he's honest about that. With all the people he knows, he says, I can't walk. He says, they talk to me like I'm a nobody when he goes into Netflix or HBO. Really? So I'm surprised at that. Yeah. He says, but when the time comes for, these producers and they want actors, then they call me. So right. He's a fantastic guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him or we have a chance to meet together and he's around, I would love that. You'll never forget him. The other guy, after the Irishman came out, I go to the Golden Globes and the Oscars, but I wasn't in the main room. We're in the after party. There's these incredible after parties that are just like off the charts. Everybody's in there. They come out of the auditorium. They come to these places, and there's unbelievable spreads of food and drinking all night, and champagne. Once in a lifetime. Hopefully I get another shot. Anyway, it's at the Golden Globes. I'm walking, and I see Michael Madsen. And
black.
And I'm walking by him, and he's looking at me. And I'm going to tell you something. Greg always told me that if you carry yourself the right way, like a wise guy, okay, and he groomed me, he taught me, schooled me. He says they will smell you. They'll sniff you out of a group of guys. And it's the second time. It happened with Armand. I mean, I wasn't bothering him. And Michael's looking at me. So finally, I went over. I put my hand. I says, Mr. Madsen, I love your work. I shook his hand. And he gets up, and he didn't want to let me leave. We start talking. And I get invited back for the Oscars. I get to sit at his table. But again, on the outside. He wasn't even in because he wasn't nominated for anything. So we were outside. And it's funny because we're sitting at the table, and there's this guy who's eavesdropping, the table next to us because he knows Madsen, and we're all in tuxes, and he wasn't. But he reminded me of an old friend from that I grew up, he was with Greg, a guy named Joe Sapanaro. Joe Sapp. So I looked at the guy, I say, you look like a buddy of mine, Joe Sapp, because he was eavesdropping.
Yeah.
Why don't you come and sit with us? The guy gets up and comes over. So now he's sitting at our table. He's there for an hour. He don't want to leave. He's talking to us. Finally, Michael Madsen gets the butter knife, and he goes to cut his ear off. Remember the movie Reservoir Dogs?
Yes. Yeah.
So he was making. I got a picture of Mike Madsen cutting this guy's ear off. Yeah. So he's another one. But Michael's going through a little bit of a hard time. He had the fires took out his house.
Oh, they did.
He had motorcycles, and he had artwork, millions of dollars. I think something like 16 Rolexes got burnt up. They were in Mexico filming. And then the pandemic hits and he can't work. So it's sort of, he's just been a lot of ups and downs. But hopefully if something happens, I love him and Armand to both be in the movie.
I'll tell you, they're great.
Yeah, they two guys.
Armand, listen, I like De Niro. I like, I love Joe Pesci.
Joe, yeah.
I got a little slur. I got pissed off, but I'll tell you that in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Joe Pesci plays a good gangster. But what Armand Assante did with the Gotti movie, I mean, I would have followed the guy.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean, Larry?
Yeah, no, he really, really. I mean, even that opening scene when he's looking in the mirror and he says, "You're gonna miss John Gotti." I mean, you could feel it, and you understand. Yeah. And there was a meaning to that, and in some ways, it's true. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that miss us being in the streets. You know that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, listen, I was never a John Gotti fan. I'm still not.
No, me too. I agree 100%.
Yeah, but still, he was who he was. So
that's right. He's the boss, and you had to.
That's right.
That's right. That's exactly what I say all the time.
Yeah.
People say you won't say that to his face. Of course I won't.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say anything to any boss that whatever. You respect you. Yeah, you're supposed to, but don't mean I liked his ways.
Exactly.
He didn't do any good for the life.
No, he didn't. I understand. What happened with Big Paulie, but when that happened, Larry, it just
shattered things.
All the families. you know, because I seen after that happened, I seen what happened in Boston, I seen what happened in Philly.
Yeah.
In the respect and the guys that were on top of us, nobody really cared anymore.
Yeah.
If you could take out Big Paulie, then you could take out anybody.
Yeah. And that's
And
what they do. Yeah.
yeah, it was like a domino effect,
Yeah.
affecting the smaller families, affecting everybody.
And that's another thing I said. I says when these guys tell us the rules officially.
Yeah.
The number one rule is you can't go turn on the family.
That's right.
So didn't John, when he got his finger pricked, wasn't he told that same exact thing?
Oh yeah, especially in that family.
You were told no drugs. You were told all these things, but
Yeah.
yet you sold drugs and you killed your boss. So rules were being broken, you know. Again, they want to stand up at certain things, but the guy took a life sentence. So he's a legend for that.
But see, here's the thing, you know, especially probably with if there's any young guys really coming up right now, you know, but the problem is these younger guys, this other generation, even John, you know, they think they're sharper than everybody else. They think that they can get away with what they want to get away with. They think who they are. You understand? Yeah, John had a strong crew in New York, but he wasn't New York.
No.
You know, he moved up in the family like that. I understand why they did it.
Mhm.
You know, him and his crew were in trouble. You know, they made that move. The other couples came along with them. Some of them did, not all.
Right.
You know, but still, what he did, terrible for the life.
No, I agree. And then Vic Arena and our thing, he decides he can't answer to one person, Junior Persico. He's got to be the big boss. You got to be the boss. And it wasn't enough being the official acting boss. So he caused the problem, you know?
Well, this backlash off the Gotti thing.
Yeah.
Why can't he do it? If
Right.
he did it, why can't he do it? The commission's breaking down. All this is breaking down. The bosses are breaking down. I'm going to do what I want to do now.
Right.
You know, and that's their attitude.
Yeah, it's true.
Get in that position, Larry, and they just don't care no more.
Right.
All that La Cosa Nostra, all that shit goes out the window with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's do as I say, not as I do.
I do. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible what they all did, you know. Yeah. But listen, all these guys destroyed their life, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really did.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about that, right, Paulie? I mean, even young guys coming up,
mm-hmm.
You know, these kids are selling drugs. They're making money. Mm-hmm. What are they got to be gangsters for? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, look at, I'm going to come to a cop or I'm going to come to a May guy. I want to be a bookmaker. Take a shot at that when I know I can make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a week on the street selling coke or whatever else they're doing.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard. It's hard. And it was supposed to be a little bit of a difference that separated us from, you know, again, I'm not bad mouthing guys that earn a living, whatever they got to do. But there was supposed to be that little bit of a difference between what we were doing, men of honor, so to speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guess once you do that, but again, it's just another rule to be broken. So
that's how it was.
You know what Sammy told me recently? I talked to him. I don't know if you've spoken to him at all, but
no, I haven't spoken with him.
He said to me, he says, John did more damage than 10 Sammy the Bulls.
Yeah.
You know? And again, you know, in some ways he's right for sure. But you know, you had the Lucchese family. They were going murder happy for a while with Gas Pipe. They had they were going after the Jersey crew. Everybody, just the cancer. It became a cancer from within.
It did.
Yeah.
It self-destructed.
Yep.